What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a brand new video. As you guys can see, we're in the garage and today is the day we're installing this absolute beauty. I already have it prepared here and she looks absolutely gorgeous. We also got a bunch of stickers, washers, screws, and we got this bigger bracket right here, and we got a manual on how to get it done. And honestly, I looked at it already and it's kind of like not as clear as it should be or could be. This is kind of all you get, but we'll be fine. We'll make it work. So let's get right into it, boys. Last thing before we get into it, please don't flame me in the comments for how this spot looks. This is actually not my garage. My garage actually kind of looks worse than this. I mean, I have like 2 or 3 cars parked there, so kind of just can't work on it. And my buddy was kind enough to lend me this little bit of a space here, but I can walk around the bike, work on it. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. Sadly, I don't have a tripod, so I have to kind of like do the work and then record again. So now we have the seat off and we have to remove this bolt, and then these 2 bolts in the back to kind of lift this whole rear section up a bit. Now we have those 4 bolts off. We also have to remove the front seat, which you have to do is kind of fold these 2 corners up here. You see those 2 bolts and then you just unscrew those as well. And I like to keep those bolts in the seat because the less bolts I have laying around, the easier it is to put the bike back. After carefully lift this whole section up just a tiny bit by just like grabbing it around here and then just pulling out just a little bit from both sides and then just lifting it so it's a little loose. Then you're just gonna get a screwdriver or something and you need to press the middle of this so you can like pull out the whole tab, and then you just unclick the fairing right here. This is kind of tougher. It will be very hard to see, but you have to like pull inward and then with your other hand you have to kind of like pull out, but it should go pretty easily. It's just very hard to find the place where it clips. I also like to take the bolt from this smaller fairing here off as well, so I have more play in here. And once you have everything unclicked, you kind of just sort of pull up and then you have to like lift it up from both sides. So I'm gonna have to use both hands again. And also I forgot to mention these little rubber parts. Can you focus, please? Probably not. There we go. And those are kind of like in the middle from the inside, like somewhere right here. So you have to watch out for those as well. All right, so now that you have this panel off, you have to remove this bolt that's holding the plate light and this bolt that's holding the plate light. Before you do that, you have to unplug the wires. There's a orange and blue wire and a white wire. One's for the left turn signal, one's for the right one, and one's for the plate light right here. Now, because I've played around with it, it looks different. It might look tacky to some of you, but I really made sure that the wiring was fine. I even like 3M taped it and made sure like the wires are super tucked and nice there. So I don't want to like unplug that and like take all the wires out. So what I'll try to do instead is just unbolt these 2 bolts, and then I'll take like a zip tie or 2 and I'll try to leave the tail tidy like hanging below the exhaust. That way I could potentially be able to remove the exhaust without needing to kind of like unwire all that stuff. But if you guys don't have kind of this setup, yeah, you just you just unplug this here and then you take the wires out and then, yeah, you just reroute it. But I'm kind of lazy to do that again. Please don't make fun of me. I thought I would be able to drop the tail tidy like below the exhaust and catch it from like both of these sides. So I ended up using like 5 zip ties because I wanted to put them like lower, but that didn't work. But the tail tidy is still here. The cables are connected and they're loose, so it's not hanging on them, and it works. And now we're gonna get to unbolting the foot peg and this plastic thing. So we're gonna start with that. There's a bolt right here, and then there's a rubber piece right here, which you have to unclip as well. That actually wasn't a rubber thingy, that's actually on the frame, and then you just like unhook this by just putting it down. So I just figured that out. Also have to remove the passenger foot peg and unclip it from the hose. I have the passenger foot peg eliminator, so I'm removing that instead of the foot peg. All right, so we got the rear foot peg out the way, and then we also pushed out a clip that's holding the lambda sensor cable. So it was very hard for me to see. I can't even position my camera right now, but I don't know if you can see me move around this cable. And then like right here, oh, you might be able to see actually, hold up, I'll zoom in. There's a little black clip right there, and that's gonna be stuck in the thing right here. So you just need like a small flathead screwdriver, and then you just go from here, and then you just push it out. Now that we're done with that, we need to get this bolt off that's holding the heat shield. There's also one bolt right there, which you need to remove. There's also this bolt. Also, you need to remove this 5th bolt up here. I forgot to mention that. So I unscrewed all the bolts. This one, the one behind, and the one up top here. And then I moved on to the foot peg, and I've removed these 2 screws so we can have the foot peg completely open and we can start removing the heat shields. Also, there's a spacer that goes behind the foot peg, so just make sure you don't lose that or you're gonna be screwed. All right, so once your foot peg is loose like this, you will wanna loosen that clamp right there. Yeah, so it's this clamp, and that's the bolt for it. Also, Austin Racing says to remove this bolt right here. That's kind of like very hard for the camera to look, but I think it is that one right there. Try to zoom in. Yep, there you go. And that should actually help with the manipulation of the whole exhaust to kind of like get it off easier. Finally, there's the last 3 bolts you need to remove. One being right here, the other one right here, and then the last one is from the other side right here. That's holding the exhaust, and as you guys can see, the exhaust is dropped already. When you're done removing the OEM exhaust, you have to take out this like metal thing that goes into the new exhaust. I already put it in the new exhaust. So all you have to do is put a screwdriver inside and slowly pry it up and take it out and put it into the new exhaust. Austin Racing kind of tells you to reinstall the heat shields like now, but I'm gonna firstly put the exhaust there and then reinstall the heat shields because some of them use like the same holes, so I just want to make sure everything will be fine. All right, guys, the bottom part is down already. Please don't like over tighten this when doing this. You still need some room to move the exhaust around. And now I think we're gonna start cracking on the heat shields again, and then we need a bracket right here so the exhaust actually can hold in place too. I also forgot to maybe mention that you have to obviously reinstall this bolt right here, which actually holds the heat shield. So that's one of the first bolts you're putting back after you drop the stock exhaust. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired. It's like almost 2:30 a.m. So yeah, I didn't read the instructions perfectly, and they mentioned only installing the upper heat shield. So that was completely fine to do, but they told me, or they say that you should use different bolts for this exact bolt of the tail tidy, but they don't actually specify which bolt. As you can see, it says reinstall the OEM heat shield and tail bracket. Use the supplied 2 bolts for the front of the tail bracket, but they don't say which ones. And that's the first thing that you should do with the exhaust. And like, I got these bolts, I got these bolts, I got these bolts. So I just put the normal ones there for now, and then depending on which bolts are left, I'm probably just gonna change it out, or maybe I'll figure it out while I do the next steps. I ended up using the super long ones for the front of the tail tidy, which goes through the whole thing, holds the heat shield in place, and it holds the Austin Racing bracket. Then we have the smaller bolts right here. Everything's tightened very loosely. I unfortunately lost one washer for that side. I'll still try to find it because it pisses me off. Now we're gonna put the two end cans on, make sure everything's kind of like centered, and then we're gonna start tightening everything down. And then once we put all that together and everything fits, we're gonna start putting the bike back together, and we should be done. We're almost at the end. We leveled the two exhaust pipes, and from this angle it seems like the right one is a little off, and it might be by like a tiny bit. You can see it on the bolts kinda. It should be like maybe a little higher, but there is still like a tiny bit of like flex in it, so we're just gonna let that be. The heat shield's tightened. Both of these like screws are tightened, and the clamp down here is tightened as well. And now we can like slowly start putting the bike together. We just need to put the bottom heat shield back on as well. Also, just a side note, before I end up putting all the parts back together, I am gonna clean the whole exhaust with isopropyl alcohol. I hope that's how you pronounce it. And especially with titanium, you guys wanna do that, because when it gets hot, it might leave like the fingerprint stains on it, and it just won't look good. So it's always nice to clean the exhaust and not have that happen to you. The rider peg is fully intact again. You guys don't have to over tighten anything, but obviously make sure those two bolts are tight and they're not gonna come off, because that's holding your peg in place. I have installed the screw for this heat shield, and then the screw up here for the heat shield. This is for the pegs that's gonna go on later, and unfortunately these holes, which used to be used to hold the exhaust, those don't have a thread, so they're just gonna stay empty, unfortunately, but that's not a big deal. Also, make sure to put this bolt back on. This was the bolt that we took off just to kind of help around moving the exhaust and fitting it. So make sure that's also tight as well. Now we have to still put this black little piece back here, which is gonna be super easy. And then we're gonna get to the fairings, and then we're gonna be done, guys. The cover is back in place. I forgot to mention that you obviously have to put the peg, the passenger peg, back in place, or in my case, the peg eliminator, but yeah, pretty easy, obviously. One more thing which I forgot to say, which I just now remembered and did, is to put back the lambda clip, which is like behind there, and it's super hard to see, but you guys can see the little silver thingy. So yeah, the lambda cable just pops back into there. So I don't think I have to say much with putting the fairings back, because it's just like the same thing as removing it, just in reverse order. But quickly, you clip those fairings together, put back this plastic, not really screw, push clip, I guess you could call it. Put back this screw to hold the smaller fairing. And then we're putting 4 screws back here. And now we're just gonna bolt the seat back up, and then we're gonna put the seat cowl on it, and we can be ready to start it up. Hey guys, I'm editing this video right now, and I just realized that adding the first impression ride to the install video would be way too long. So I'm gonna leave the first impression video as a whole separate video, and that will be uploaded next week on Thursday. And I've already recorded the first impressions. I gotta say, this exhaust is absolutely nuts, and we're starting to get some color from the titanium already, boys. So definitely tune in next week on Thursday. If you're not subscribed, like, what are you doing? Go subscribe right now. And yeah, guys, tune in next week. The first impression and review is gonna be absolutely crazy. All right, boys, first start. I'm super ready.
Alright, yep, that's freaking crazy, guys. I love it. I love it. Let's give her a few quick revs. Absolutely nuts. Let's go take her for a spin, boys.